Hi greedy 3Ders, it is no coincidence that today I'm wearing my chestburster t-shirt from Aliens because today we're going to be making this. This is the Egg and Facehugger from the Wicked Aliens diorama series. Today I will show you how I made this. I will show you how I made all these effects on it, and it's really easy, so stay tuned for all these effects on that. We'll also do it with a budget airbrush and a budget compressor, and I'll see how we get on. Stay tuned. So this is the budget airbrush and the budget compressor from Neoeco. This is about $55 to buy for the compressor, for the airbrush, and they've also sent me the cleaning pot and some cleaning solutions, which I will put a link in the description to where you can get them from. But let's see how we get on using this budget compressor and budget airbrush. And the first thing I'm going to do is hit it with a little bit of black from the Army Painter as a primer, and the airbrush is doing a great job. It's getting the paint on, and I'm giving it a complete layer across of the black. I always like to do that to all my 3D prints, as you know. Now, I have been asked in a previous video, how do I clean my airbrush when I finish? So I'm going to be using these. These are the Neoeco wipes, and again there'll be a link in the description to where you can buy this little pack, which has got all the cleaning utensils in. It's got some little like ear buddy things which are also really useful, and it's got 15 of the wipes, and they're around about $16 to buy. Well worth it, but you get the pot for that as well. I also use these are the squeezy bottle 3-pack that you get, which are fantastic for cleaning your airbrush out. So what do? Well, once I finished, I get one of the squeezy bottles with just plain water, and I squeeze it in and I blast it under jet just to get rid of all of the paint inside. And I take one of these wipes from Neoeco and I pop it inside, and this stuff the paint just lifts off with it. It's really, look at that. Straight away you can see how much paint has come off with that, and I give it a really good wipe inside, give it a little squirt just to clear anything through, make sure it's nice and clean, get a little bit of airbrush cleaner. This is just Vallejo airbrush cleaner, blast it through, and I am now ready for my next colour. It's as simple as that. As I say, if you want to buy anything that you've seen today, it will be in the item description for you. Now, to get some colour on the egg, we're going to use some Bulwark Brown from the Air Painter Mega Set from Army Painter, and I'm going to use a little bit of Vallejo thinner as well, just a couple of drops in there, and I always do this, usually do this off camera, just to thin the paint a little bit. And let's get that brown on there as a base colour. Now, don't be daunted by this egg, it's really not hard to do. Just pop some colours on there. Charred bone is what I'm using from exactly the same set. Get it all over, leave a little bit of the black coming through, don't be afraid of that. Angel green is the next colour that's going on, and I'm just following some of the little veins really more so with that than covering it all over, and just touching the underneath as well. Now, some Agrax Earthshade from Citadel will add a little bit of a shadowy colour at the bottom, and just to add a little bit of pizzazz, I'm going to use some of this Tesseract Glow again from Citadel just to liven it up. It's not hard to do. You can see how easy this is. Some pure red on the top just to give it a blast across the petals of the egg that will open, and that's not finished yet, don't worry, it looks a little bit too red, but we're going to tone it down a little bit with some Fey Pink, and I'm just going to go around the edges really and leave the red in the centre of that, and that's it. That's really the colours on the top of the egg, going around the outside as well, of course. Wonderful, looking good. Next, back to some angel green just for the centre, and I just want to add a little bit of green in the centre of it. Don't worry, it looks a bit strong at the moment. We're going to be using some washes on it, and I'm just going to shine it up with some metal varnish just to give it that wet glistening look, and also just to protect my paintwork that I've done so far. I'm going to give it a layer right the way across with that. Again, this airbrush is doing an absolutely fantastic job considering it was only $55 with a compressor as well. Leather brown, straight onto the facehugger to give it a base layer of brown, again all over. Don't forget the legs. Don't worry if there's some black showing through, that's all part of the parcel. Bleach bone next, just to lighten it up a little bit, again all over. Now, some Agrax Earthshade with a little brush, and I'm just going to paint this on all across, and I'll use a little bit of tissue just to wipe off any excess, and that's the first of the shades that are going on to the facehugger. We're going to do quite a bit more work on him, but there we go, that's gone on. Wipe it off, put it on, and a dry brushing now, just a little bit of that skeleton bone colour across, just to lighten up some of the areas underneath where the shade has gone on and the wash has gone on, and all I'm doing there is dry brushing some of that colour on. I'm now going to take some of that faux pink on a brush, and I'm just going to paint the inside section there where the facehuggery tube pops out. And I'm going to use a little bit of the red just to add into that too, and then once that's in, and while it's still wet, I'm going to take a dry brush and just merge the two together. And that's pretty much the inside pinky bit done. You're not going to really see it, so that's done. Again, with the dry brush, I'm using a really light colour. This is bleach bone, just to go across the outer legs of the facehugger there. And I'm going to seal it with some gloss varnish. This is some clear gloss varnish, just to protect all my wonderful paintwork so that I don't smudge it off at the next stage, which is going to be the hand painting section. Make sure you always protect your work. Okay, exactly the same again with the egg. I want to protect everything all over really thoroughly, so I'm going to give it a blast with this varnish. And over to the brush stages. Now there it is, that's what it looks like when it's all dried, and I think you'll agree it wasn't hard to paint, but the effects look really good. So what we're going to do now is make it look even better. So some soft tone from the Army Painter, get it on a big brush. Now people get scared of washes. It's easy, literally just get it on a nice big brush and splatter it on there. If you put too much on, you can take it off with a little bit of a sponge or a little bit of kitchen roll. Don't be afraid of washes. It's just watered down paint. You will not destroy your model. You won't destroy all your hard work. Just blast it all the way across it. And as I say, if you put too much on, get a little bit of a cloth, a little bit of a sponge, and take it off. Easy. Don't forget the petal bits as well. There's the facehugger now that it is all dried, and I'm going to use exactly the same wash all over it, just to give it yet another layer, again using that sponge to get it off some of the outer areas. And easy, done, finished, complete, or nearly anyway. And that's what it looks like. You see the effects you get with washes and dry brushing? It's really incredible, isn't it? It looks really, really good, and is really, really easy to achieve these effects. Okay, some Martian brown now, and I'm going to use this on a really hard brush that I've made nice and wet, and I'm going to dip it into the brown paint, and I'm just going to flick that brown paint across the egg. You can also do this by lowering the pressure of your airbrush if you want to, but I like to do it with this just because I feel it gives me a little bit more control, and I'm splattering it all the way across the egg just to give it some speckly effect. And you can see there's little marks and blemishes on the egg, and that is exactly what I'm aiming for, just to add a little bit more realism into this egg casing. Now for the magic, Vallejo liquid mask. You might think, what's he going to do with that? I'll tell you what I'm going to do with that. I'm going to paint it all over the petals. Now this is what you would normally use to protect your paintwork when you're going to be putting another colour on, because when it dries virtually clear, and you can peel it off, and then it will protect any paint that you've painted over the top of it. But we're not going to use it for that. Oh no sure, we're going to paint it on nice and thick all across the egg casey bit at the top and right across all the petals, and we're going to leave it to dry while we move on to our desert highlights. I'm going to use that dry brush technique one more time, and this is the last thing I'm going to do to the facehugger, just to give it that yellowy creamy look that the facehugger has, and that will then be the facehugger done and dusted. So get your dry brush, get some of that desert highlights or a colour very, very similar if you've got something, and just splatter it all over. And the facehugger is done. I just think it looks amazing. I really, really love it. I'm so pleased with how it's come out. Now then, back to the egg. Now that the mask has had a chance to dry, just take your finger and gently pull it away in little patches. You don't want to take it off, you just want to roll it down with your finger and make it look like a bit of a, it's kind of like a rubbery effect. It gives you like a membrane effect, and that is exactly what we're after. So just gently rub it with your finger and it will lift off. Now the colour of this Vallejo liquid mask being green actually helps us in this situation. Sometimes it wouldn't, but in this situation doing an alien egg, it's absolutely perfect. Now if you want to use something else, you can just use a little bit of silicone paint, and that would probably do exactly the same thing. But this stuff is free, it's available in your kit, I'm sure, if you've got it. If not, it's relatively cheap to buy, and there will be a description in the link. But just look at the effect that you're getting from that. Absolutely incredible, isn't it? Easy peasy. you've probably already got this in your painting box. Just use your finger, rub it down and get that wonderful alien-y, eggy, membraney effect on there. And now that's all finished, I think you agree it looks like it's come out of an alien egg. Again, not hard to do, really easy to do with stuff you've probably got lying around. And if you haven't got it lying around, it's really inexpensive to buy. As I say, there will be a link in the item description where you can get it from. Now, for some gloss varnish on there, just to make it look a little bit wet and a little bit shiny, I'm using this Vallejo gloss. Now, normally this is clear, but mine for some strange reason has gone pink, and I don't tend to use this one too much because it leaves a little bit of a pink hue, but on this occasion, absolutely fine. I found a use for it and I will be putting it on. Again, don't be afraid of this, just get it on there. It will look wet, it will look slobbery, but when it dries, it will dry virtually clear, and if you've got a new one, it will dry completely clear, and it will just look like water. It'll look glistening, it'll look like slobbery, slimy slopper, and that's exactly what we're after, so just splat it in there. Now this stuff, UV resin, you've seen me use this on the Alien Queen, you've seen me use it on the Iceman, but today we're going to be using it for egg slimy slobber. So pop it on as before, let it drip and use your UV light to just stop it dripping all the way and to solidify. It takes a little bit of practice, but once you've had a go at this, you'll get it. You really will. Just practice on something before you do it on the main event, but have a go. It's not hard. You can't really go wrong with it, because if it doesn't work how you want it, it will just look like some slobber and slop anyway has fallen down the egg, and that's probably what I've done anyway with this. But have a go. Just let it drip as much or as little as you want before you solidify it. Again, it's a technique to this, and practice will make perfect, but you can't put too much on. Just get it on there. It looks wet, it looks slimy. That is exactly what we're after. Now, I've used it also to glue the Alien Hugger into the egg, and it does two things for me. It glues it in, you don't see the glue, and it also makes it look like the actual face hugger itself is coming out of the slime, which will add to the overall effect as well. Don't forget, he's going to have some slime on him as well. He's just come out of a pot of gloop, so put some of that on him, let it drip, harden it up, same again. Now, I hope you've enjoyed what you've seen today. I hope you've learned something. If you want to buy anything, have a check in the item description and you will find all the things that I've been using in there to make these effects, and you can get them from there, and a little bit will kick back to the channel. Don't forget to subscribe, and I hope you enjoy the end result. Well, there we go, Greedy 3Ds. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you found it useful, and I hope some of the little tricks and tips that you've learned today will be something you can apply to your 3D modelling journey. Now, just want to take this moment to thank my Patreons for their support. Without their support, doing things like this would be a lot more difficult. And if you want to join the Patreon scheme, all the details will be in the description. Please make sure you subscribe to the channel as well. And if you want to buy anything to support me, you can buy it also from the description, where a little bit as an Amazon affiliate will kick back to the channel and just allow me to continue doing the things that I love doing and make the videos for you guys. Thanks for watching today. Hope you've enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time on Greedy 3D.